Yeezys. Now she dropped the Nike logo. And then earlier, Caitlin Clark gives a first look at the Nike Caitlin 1.
For 2.5 years, the most watched player in women's basketball has been hiding something in plain sight. And this week, she finally let it slip. Not in a press conference, not in a glossy Nike commercial, but with a tiny friendship bracelet on her wrist that almost nobody caught at first. If you blinked, you missed it. But the people who noticed set the internet on fire within minutes, because Caitlin Clark had just answered the one question her fans have been asking since the day she walked into the league: when is the shoe coming? The whole thing started quietly, the way the best mysteries do. A few days before her Indiana Fever faced the Toronto Tempo, Clark started acting a little strange online. Fans who follow her every move noticed her Instagram username had changed. For years, she'd been Caitlin Clark 22, the number stitched into her identity since college. Then, without a word of explanation, she became Caitlin 1. Just like that. No caption, no announcement, no press release. And if that wasn't enough to get people talking, her profile picture changed too. A tight, cryptic close-up of some blue, C-shaped material that nobody could quite identify. She kept swapping the photo, each one a little teaser, each one a puzzle piece. People zoomed in, people speculated, and every guess pointed in the same direction. Because in sneaker culture, a 1 means only one thing. It means a signature athlete's very first shoe. It means you've officially arrived. But Clark wasn't done playing with everyone just yet, and what she did next turned a quiet hint into a full-blown event. When she showed up for her pre-game walk-in before the Toronto game, she was drenched in blue. Not subtle blue, deliberate, can't-miss-it blue. And when the Fever's own cameras asked her to break down her outfit, she made a point of calling out every single blue element she was wearing, right down to her blue phone case. Then she did something that fans are still laughing about. She looked dead into the camera, the way a character on a sitcom stares down the lens when they know something you don't. It was a wink without a wink, a message that said, "There is more going on here than I'm allowed to tell you right now, and I need you to catch it." People caught it. The clip went everywhere. But the real giveaway, the thing that cracked the whole code wide open, was sitting right there on her wrist the entire time. Clark was wearing friendship bracelets, the little beaded kind, and the letters spelled out two things. One read Caitlin 1, the other read a string of numbers, 10/01/26, a date, October 1st of this year. When a reporter asked her about the bracelet, she didn't confirm anything outright. She just grinned and said, "Mark your calendars, I guess," and let the laugh hang in the air. That was it. That was the confirmation hiding inside a non-confirmation. She even admitted she already has a specific date in mind for when she wants to lace them up in an actual game for the first time. But that date, she said, she's keeping to herself. So now, there are two clocks ticking. One for when you can buy them, and one secret one, known only to her, for when the world first sees them on court. But to understand why a single bracelet sent an entire fan base into a frenzy, you have to rewind to how this partnership even began. And the number attached to it is staggering. Back in the spring of 2024, just as Clark was making the jump from college superstar to professional phenomenon, she signed a deal with Nike that reset expectations for what a women's basketball player could command. 8 years, $28 million. A full signature line with her name on it. For context, signature shoes are the rarest air in the entire sneaker world. Most players in the men's league, even great ones, never get one. Nike hands them out to a tiny circle of athletes they believe can move culture, not just product. Clark joined that roster, and she didn't hide how much it meant to her, saying she was incredibly proud to stand alongside some of the best athletes in the world. But here's the twist that frustrated fans for 2 long years. Signing the deal didn't mean the shoe was ready. Designing a signature sneaker from scratch takes time, testing, and obsessive attention to detail. And Nike wasn't going to rush the most anticipated launch in the women's game. So fans waited and waited. And in the meantime, Clark was lacing up someone else's legacy. Here's a detail a lot of casual fans don't even realize. Through her first few seasons in the league, the shoes on Caitlin Clark's feet weren't generic team-issue sneakers. They were Kobe's, the signature line of the late Kobe Bryant. And she didn't just wear them. She became something like the unofficial torchbearer for that line, debuting special player-exclusive colorways that fans went wild for, some of which Nike actually released to the public in tiny quantities that vanished almost instantly. Think about what that says. The brand trusted her to carry the flame of one of the most beloved signature lines in basketball history, while her own was still being built in secret. Every time she stepped on the floor in those Kobe's, it was a placeholder, a promise that one day the swoosh on her feet would belong to her and her alone. And now that day has a number on it. But what exactly is going to be inside this shoe? Because Clark has dropped one claim that has the sneaker world genuinely on edge. She's not promising a pretty colorway and calling it a day. On a December episode of a popular podcast hosted by 2 football-playing brothers, she said something that raised eyebrows across the industry. The technology going into her shoe, she claimed, isn't anything Nike has ever put into a basketball shoe before. Let that sink in. This is a company that has been engineering basketball footwear for decades, for the biggest names the sport has ever produced. And Clark is saying her shoe breaks new ground. According to reporting around the launch, she asked Nike to obsess over 3 specific things: speed, range, and unpredictability. The exact traits that make her so dangerous on the court. The ability to show up faster and from further out than a defender expects. Fans are expecting a lightweight low top built for quick cuts, and that instant court feel she relies on when she's pulling up from way beyond the arc. Whether the tech lives up to the enormous hype is the billion-dollar question, and we won't fully know until it's on people's feet. But Nike doesn't let its signature athletes make claims like that lightly. Something real is coming. And what's made the buildup almost unbearable is how tightly the whole thing has been locked down. For the longest time, there were no official images, no product shots, not even a blurry leak slipping out the back door, which almost never happens with a release this big. In an era where samples get photographed on factory floors and spread across the internet weeks early, Nike and Clark managed to keep the actual look of the shoe a near-total secret, drip-feeding the world nothing but cropped close-ups and color hints. That kind of discipline only happens when a brand knows it's sitting on something special and wants the reveal to land like a thunderclap instead of a slow leak. Every locked door, every blurred teaser, only cranked the anticipation higher. And to really appreciate the moment, you have to remember where this all started. Because Clark didn't arrive out of nowhere. Long before the pros, she rewrote the record books in college, becoming the kind of scorer who pulled up from distances that made no sense and buried shots that shouldn't have gone in. She turned a college program into appointment television, drew sellout crowds wherever she traveled, and left as one of the most prolific scorers the college game had ever seen. By the time she went pro, she wasn't a prospect hoping to make it. She was already a household name, already a phenomenon. already someone whose every game felt like an event. That's the foundation this shoe is built on. When a brand bets a signature line on an athlete, it's betting the story keeps growing, and hers has done nothing but climb from the very first jumper. And it's worth remembering that none of this hype exists in a vacuum, because the player herself is the reason the demand is this loud. Clark didn't just walk into the league with a marketing budget behind her, she backed it up. Her arrival sent television ratings climbing to numbers women's basketball had never seen, filled arenas that used to sit half empty, and pulled in millions of people who had never watched a single game before. When she plays, the whole sport gets bigger. That's the engine underneath this shoe. A sneaker is only as valuable as the story on the feet wearing it, and her story is a rocket that hasn't slowed down. Even the rough patches have only added to the legend. Last season was cut painfully short. She played just 13 games before injuries kept her sidelined, and fans spent months wondering what could have been. This year, she's stayed mostly healthy, and the production has been exactly what you'd expect from someone built for this moment. Through her first dozen games, she's been averaging right around 20 points a night, close to 8 assists, and grabbing nearly 5 rebounds, stuffing the stat sheet the way only a handful of players in the world can. And she's still pulling out the kind of highlights that break the internet, including a recent game winner from way out near the logo that had the crowd losing its mind. Every one of those moments is fuel. Every clip is another reason that, when the shoe finally drops, people won't just want it. They'll feel like they have to have it. And the design story behind it is just as personal as the play. From the very beginning, Clark wasn't a name slapped on a product someone else dreamed up. She was in the room. She took a hands-on approach, working shoulder to shoulder with Nike's designers and scrutinizing every tiny detail, the same way she breaks down film of her own jumper. She wanted the shoe to reflect exactly how she plays: fast, confident, and ready to let it fly. And when she finally saw the finished product for the first time, she described it as one of those rare life moments where you just know. In her words, you have those moments where you look at something and think, that's the one, that's going to be special. She called seeing it for the first time something that will forever be a core memory. Having her own shoe, she said, has been a dream for as long as she can remember. And watching it come to life was almost hard to believe. That emotional weight is part of why fans are so invested. This isn't a corporate cash grab to them. It's a kid who dreamed about this getting to live it out loud, in front of everyone. And the rollout leading up to it has been a slow, deliberate burn that started long before any bracelet. The first real signal came back in late summer, when Nike unveiled Clark's signature logo. 2 interlocking C's with a smaller hidden C tucked between them that's meant to represent how her game was built from the inside out, through obsession and relentless drive. The 2 outer letters are meant to capture her magnetic pull on fans, the confidence, the commitment, the shooting. That logo started showing up on apparel, on t-shirts and hoodies, planting her brand in stores before the shoe ever existed. Then came Christmas Day, when Nike dropped a commercial built around a single phrase that's now glued to her identity: from anywhere. It's a nod to her impossible shooting range, and it instantly became shorthand for everything she represents. From there, the apparel collection only grew. The logo first crept into stores on a simple navy and yellow t-shirt, the first time fans could actually buy a piece of her signature identity. And from there, it expanded into a full range of hoodies, shorts, and pants built for athletes of every age. Then, alongside the shoe, Nike built out an entire signature line, reportedly around 18 pieces blending sport style with everyday wear, designed to move straight from the court to the street. jackets, graphic hoodies, tees, soft, everyday staples, even a special fleece, the kind of head-to-toe wardrobe that turns a single sneaker into a full lifestyle brand. The teases got louder. The pieces kept dropping. And then, this week, the bracelet brought the whole campaign to a head. Every piece of this was planned, and now the final and most important piece is almost here. So let's talk about what actually matters to the people refreshing their carts. The price. Reports point to the adult version landing around $140 in North America, with the rest of the world sitting just a touch lower, and smaller sizes for younger fans priced down from there. A deliberate choice to make sure kids, the exact audience she inspires most, can actually get a pair. There's even talk of the launch spanning nearly a full-size run, from grade school down to little kids, though the very smallest toddler sizes reportedly aren't in the first wave. And then there are the colorways, because the timing isn't an accident. With a fall launch window, the smart money says we'll see versions themed around the back half of the year's biggest moments. The kind of seasonal, holiday-ready colors that collectors camp out for. This is also a global launch, not some quiet regional release, which means people all over the world will be hitting the same digital line at the same time. Reports point to the doors opening in the morning, Eastern Time on launch day, with the shoes going live through Nike's release app and a handful of select retailers, the standard battlefield for any drop this big, where stock can evaporate before the page even finishes loading. But here's the reality check. Demand for this shoe has been building for 2 straight seasons. The moment it goes live on Nike's release app and at select retailers, it is expected to move fast. The kind of fast where you need your payment info saved, your finger ready, and a little bit of luck. If you've ever tried to land a hyped release, you know the drill. This one might be the toughest yet, because it isn't just longtime collectors chasing it. It's an entire new wave of fans who picked up a basketball because of her. And that pressure cooker of demand is exactly why the resale market is already watching. Sneakers that sell out in seconds tend to reappear within hours at double, triple, sometimes quadruple the price, and a debut signature shoe from the most talked about name in the sport is the kind of thing that could send those numbers even higher. Some fans will pay it without blinking, just to own a piece of history on day one. Others will wait, hoping Nike restocks, knowing the brand often brings popular models back in fresh colorways throughout the season. Either way, that release day is shaping up to be one of the most chaotic the women's game has ever seen. And the people who plan ahead are the ones who will actually walk away with a box in hand. And that, in the end, is the part that makes this so much bigger than a piece of footwear. Clark has said it herself. What excites her most isn't seeing her name on a box. It's the thought that somewhere out there, one kid laces up her shoe, falls a little harder in love with the game, and decides to work for something more. If it inspires even a single child to push harder, she's said, that's what makes the whole thing worth it. For years, girls who dreamed of hooping had to wear the signatures of men because there was almost nothing else made with them in mind. Clark is changing the math of that, putting a women's basketball shoe at the absolute center of sneaker culture, the place everyone is watching, the shelf everyone is fighting over. She has called it more than a shoe, a way of helping grow the game itself, of widening the door for the players who come next. And the ripple effect reaches far beyond her own feet. When the biggest name in the sport gets a signature shoe that actually sells, it sends a message to every brand and every boardroom that the women's game is a serious market, not an afterthought. It tells the next wave of young stars that their own signature moment is possible, that the ceiling everyone assumed was there might not be a ceiling at all. Retailers are paying attention, rival brands are paying attention, and somewhere, A generation of kids who grew up watching her drain shots from the parking lot are about to have a pair of shoes with her name on them sitting in their closet, the same way kids decades ago begged for the signatures of the legends they idolized. That's how a sport changes. Not in one dramatic night, but in thousands of quiet moments of a kid lacing up and believing they could be next. So, when that date on the bracelet finally arrives, it won't just be a product drop, it'll be a marker. Proof of how far the women's game has climbed in just a few short years, and a hint at how much further it's about to go. The secret she kept for 2.5 years is finally out. The countdown clock is running. And now the only question left is a simple one. When the most anticipated sneaker in the women's game finally drops, and it disappears in the time it takes to refresh a page, will you be quick enough to be one of the few who actually gets a pair? Or will you be left watching the resale prices climb, wishing you'd marked your calendar back when she first told you to?